Hey y'all, how y'all doing? This is your girl Tysheen. I know what you watching. Yes, I know what y'all watching. I be checking. I know y'all was watching this video, okay? I went to go and check to see what my audience is watching. Okay, I'm gonna start saying that in all my videos. I be watching y'all. Alright. So this one y'all was watching was why American buses are just worse. Okay, so let's get straight to it. Let's see what this is all about.
Buses have a really bad rap in North America. Less so in Canada, but it's still a thing, and I don't like it. Now, of course, there are a lot of reasons for this, but one of the biggest reasons, and one that I think gets discussed far too little, is that the buses here in Canada and the United States are just worse than our international counterparts. But why?
I never noticed the difference.
How? And could we do something to fix this?
Okay.
If you like videos about how soft the seats on buses are, you should subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any future videos like my upcoming series on places that should have rapid transit, but don't. When a friend from Europe came to visit Toronto recently, we took a ride, naturally, on one of Toronto's newest and nicest buses. It was a hybrid delivered just a few years ago, and to be honest, they were amazed. Why is the ride so rough? The bus is rattling so much, is it going to fall apart? Why did the wayfinding screens look like they were designed in the 1970s? Oh my goodness, the seats are so hard. I must say the comments startled me a little, but it did remind me of one.
I'm sorry, I don't like soft seats on buses because I feel like some of the soft ones are made out of some type of what's that texture? Like those soft texture. I don't like it because I feel like a lot of bacteria, germs be soaked inside those cloth. I don't like it. I hate sitting on those things. I hate it. I'd rather the hard seats, the one you could just wipe. You know, the when they come and clean it, they could just wipe it off or whatever. I don't like those type of seats. I don't like those soft seats. I really don't.
I first moved to Toronto, where the buses felt notably less nice and rougher than those I was used to in Vancouver. But Vancouver isn't bus heaven. If you want to truly see what buses can do, a trip to Europe, Latin America, or Asia makes a ton of sense. Oh, and I should probably also say I'm likely going to say North America in this video at some point, but in this case, sorry Mexico, you don't count, your buses are too good. Now, a big part of why I think transit buses are probably so much better in much of the rest of the world is that there are just so many more brands competing. For example,
I never been on those type of buses before. Never in my life. I'll be scared to, I don't know. I feel like those buses, I don't know. I feel like they'll tilt over. But I would love to ride on one just to experience it, you know? I mean, we have buses like that, but those are called tour buses. They're tour buses. Those are for tourists, you know? But we don't have city buses like that.
And VDL, Volvo, Hess, Scania, and indeed even Mercedes. Yes, all of these years you could have been riding on a Mercedes-Benz Citaro bus. Now you know.
How many doors that?
From these many brands, you'll see a ton of cool features.
How many doors that bus have? Whoa.
But what I'd actually argue you see the most of is a diversity of different buses.
That bus is beautiful though.
Currently in North America, bus manufacturers seem to be trying to pare down their offering. In fact, Vancouver recently ordered Nova Bus Suburban models, which are just city buses with one less door and...
Why is there only one door? Isn't that a little dangerous?
Bad seats, meant to be used on routes where coach buses are the correct answer. By comparison, in the rest of the world, you've got everything under the sun. You have the usual 2-axle city buses and articulated buses, but you also have longer 14 and 15 meter buses with 3 axles. More capacity than a regular city bus, but less than an articulated. There are also 4-axle articulated bus variants. Oh, and you can also see bi-articulated buses in Europe and...
We have that. With those things in the middle of the bus to make
Latin
it longer,
America, with not just 1 but 2 bendy bits. In fact,
but y'all got way more door though. Those long buses, we have them, but I think we have we have three doors. I think we have 3 doors. Yeah, we had 3 doors. But this one you got 4 doors. That's good though. Case of emergency, that's good.
Models even look like trams, which is all the more reason the autonomous bus rapid transit gadget bond from China is not a big deal. Meanwhile, despite the US and Canada having more road space than almost any other countries in the world, there's not a single double bendy boy to be found here. It's also common in the rest of the world to see buses with more doors.
3, 4.
I talk a lot about this
four
with
doors.
trains, but it still holds true with buses. More doors mean people can get on and off of a vehicle more quickly, which makes your route faster and more pleasant.
Yeah.
But in the US and Canada, 99.9% of regular city buses have 2 doors and 99.9% of articulated buses have 3. But surprising as it might be, that's not the case everywhere. In the rest of the world, 12-meter city buses with a 3rd door behind the rear wheel are actually really common. And the same is true of articulated buses with 4 doors, again with one behind the rear wheel. As it turns out, there are even some articulated bus variants with 2 middle doors, meaning they have 5 doors in total, which is just crazy.
5 doors. See, that's the only problem though. I don't know about other states, but I know here in New York, we do have 3 doors, but those doors are for those long, like these type of buses. And most of the time they got cops. They got cops at the bus stop sometimes because people the bus driver can't really do much. So most of the time people will try to like jump on the bus without paying because you got to pay from the front. You got to pay where the bus driver is at. But sometimes there's so many people just say, forget it, I'm going in the back, and they don't pay. So, yeah. So imagine we have 5 doors. The city is going to be out of money because a lot of people is going to try to run in the back, sneak in the back, and the bus driver can't do anything. He's not going to stop to call the cops, and they're not doing all of that. It's too much work. It's just a loss they got to take, But I've seen people, not me, but I've seen people do that. They just jump on the bus, they don't pay, they go sit down, and that's it. But there's certain stops. It's mostly the bus route is like on Nostrand. I don't know about other cities, but I know in Brooklyn on Nostrand they have a special bus. It's like one of those express buses that don't stop. They only stop at certain stops. But those buses, they usually have cops waiting, and they'll ask you for your ticket. And if you don't have a ticket, then you're going to have to pay a fine. And I think the fine, if I'm not mistaken, is $100. It might be a little bit more. But it was years ago. I remember they saying it was $100. Might be a little bit more. But yeah, you'll get a ticket. Just don't get caught. I'm not going to lie. One time I took a risk because I think something happened. I don't remember what happened. I took a risk and I did it, and I was praying the whole time that I didn't get caught. I don't like that type of feeling, being scared and knowing that there's a chance you might get in trouble, but I will never do that again. Because they be having like 3 cops waiting at the bus stop, 3 of them waiting. You just never know what day and you never know what time because they change it. So yeah, be careful.
At the same time, while transit planners and enthusiasts in North America gush over the idea of 100% low-floor trams or light rail vehicles, we still order 70% low-floor buses, even though 100% low-floor buses are common in other parts of the world.
Those seats I don't like. This is what I was trying to explain. I don't like fabric seats because those are supposed to be comfortable and soft. I don't like them. I don't know about other states or other countries, but I know here in New York, they don't clean it good. I've seen stain. We had something like this before. We did, and they changed it. You'll see stain. It be smelly. You just don't want to sit on it. It's like, ugh. I don't even like touching the what you call it. I don't like touching the pole. I don't even like touching anything. I just like to just sit down and that's it. I don't like touching nothing. I'm sorry.
If you're wondering how that works, this picture should help. Electric buses are, of course, also much more common. While you can count the number of major trolleybus systems in North America on one hand, they're all over the place in Europe. And even in cities that don't currently have trolleys, new systems are being set up, and in the meantime, battery electric buses are being ordered. In fact, Amsterdam Schiphol Airport has over 200 electric buses just for the airport, more than most major transit systems in North America, just for the airport. In fact, in most of the world, buses have been getting electrified for a lot longer than here in North America, and by all kinds of different means. And of course, many of these cool features get combined to create incredible high-capacity buses that could serve all kinds of purposes that we couldn't even imagine in North America. Bi-articulated electric trolley bus? Yes! Oh, Switzerland. And for what it's worth, the experience on board buses in Europe and frankly most of the world is also just better. Seats with more padding, better layouts, and higher quality materials are all common. The wayfinding tends to be better, and the ride quality also tends to be a lot better. The first pretty average looking London bus, which I took on my trip to London last year, on the last day of my trip to London actually, put me to sleep almost immediately.
Oh wow.
It was glorious. So why is it like this? Well, everyone's favorite thing, policies and regulation. In the US, there are Buy America and similar rules.
That's the bus I was talking about. That's the bus that we have here, but we have buses a little longer than that too. We have buses like a little long. Is that the same bus? No, I think we have buses like that. We have buses like that. I mean, obviously, this is in New York. This is New York, but we have buses like that, but a little long. We have another one that's longer than that.
Which means that federal dollars are not going to any European buses. And unfortunately, in this case, similar rules actually also do exist in Canada. At the same time, super dated safety regulations also pretty obviously have an impact. I actually think it's worth addressing the idea that North American regulations are somehow safer, because this frequently comes up in transit enthusiast communities, but it's just not the case. Usually the definition of safety used in North America is highly specific and highly pedantic. And while we might score very well for our definition of safety, when you actually look at safety from a perspective the average person would agree makes sense, it's kind of a wash as far as I can tell. At the same time, for a long time, there appeared to be little questioning as to whether regulations in North America that did things like force trains to be twice as heavy as in Europe and the rest of the world were having a positive or negative impact on the transit experience. A nice parallel to kind of get what I'm talking about are automobile regulations. Part of the reason that trucks and SUVs are so much more common in North America is that our safer regulations don't take into account the safety of people outside of the car. So as long as everything inside your enormous truck mostly stays in one piece, no matter what you slam into, you're good. At the end of the day, most of the world moves far more people on public transportation than us, especially on things like buses. And so I think we can accept that maybe the rest of the world knows how to keep people safe. Now, at the same time, the archaic rules and regulations of the North American bus market mean that we have only really two major players, Novabus and New Flyer. These two companies do admittedly produce better buses than most of the other remaining manufacturers in North America, but that isn't saying a ton. And both of these companies are actually based in Canada, where, shocker, there's a lot less negative stereotyping around bus use. Now, as I mentioned, there are smaller players in the North American bus market, like Proterra and BYD, who produce electric buses. But their buses seem to be of sort of questionable quality, at least based on results in Toronto. There is also Gillig, who only sells buses into the US market, but they also still sell buses that look like this. Now, to be completely fair, most manufacturers do have models which look better. And Novabus in particular does produce some pretty decent looking models, probably influenced by their parent company, Volvo. But even our best buses here in North America would probably look pretty meh on average in Europe. It just seems to be the case that in the rest of the world there are more buses to pick from. And so Europe and Asia and Latin America and Australia and other places around the world see more competition and better buses. Australia in particular is a pretty great example. They tend to buy their buses from overseas companies, and their buses are
Whoa! That is such a huge bus, and I love it. I love the design. This is huge.
A lot nicer than the...
That's almost a train. Look at the back. It says long vehicle.
The average one seen in North America.
Whoa.
In fact, Brisbane is actually even getting beautiful new electric bi-articulated buses for its metro project.
Huge.
To give some credit to North American transit agencies, some of them have actually tried to import European buses. Viva in York Region,
we ain't got those type of bus here in New York.
Van Hool buses straight from Belgium, and they're great. They're nicer than the buses that aren't from Belgium. And as it turns out, AC Transit in the Bay Area ordered a ton of Van Hool buses. That door is close to 2000.
Wait, I gotta put it on pause. This door is so close to this door. They don't. I wonder why they don't have it spread out. Wait, how many? This has 4 doors. This has 4 doors. That is crazy. Wow.
But in recent years, they've fallen in line, and now they purchase standard North American buses. Now you might wonder about prices. I certainly did, and I sort of expected that buses that were nicer would cost at least a little bit more.
Yeah.
But it doesn't even seem conclusive that that's the case.
Oh, it's not?
I'm guessing that because in the rest of the world there are just so many companies competing for bus orders, prices are still similar, if not lower, because again, more competition drives down prices, and probably gives you better buses too. An interesting situation happened with Alexander Dennis.
I've learned something in this video, because I always thought that you know, each country has a manufacturer where they go to get their bus. I didn't know it was like, I don't know how many of them are there. How many companies are there that makes these buses? I always thought like I always thought every country just have their own buses. Have their own bus company, that makes the buses for them. So basically they go to different companies around the world and have them make the buses for them, right? That's what he said. Basically, that's what they do. I'm just learning right now. This is new to me.
For example, famous for their double-decker buses in the UK, years ago they started selling the Enviro 500 model in North America, and they've been wildly successful. So they actually ended up starting up a local production facility to produce buses and sell them directly into the North American market. And now they've actually been bought out by Canadian manufacturer New Flyer, which I can only hope will lead to New Flyer getting some influences from Alexander Dennis. Now what's so frustrating about all of this is that the actual drivetrains used on most...
See, that's the bus that we have here. I don't know why I thought it was longer than this, but it's really not. This is the longest bus we have. And it's supposed to have like 3 doors, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe it's 2. I haven't been on these bus here. I haven't been on it for a while, so I don't really remember. It might be 2 doors. I don't think we have 3 doors. Now I'm thinking. Is it 3? I'm trying to remember. I'm sorry,
are the exact same as the ones that would be used in other parts of the world, typically built by third-party companies. So the buses actually operate much as they would in other parts of the world, simply with a less nice, rattly bus shell around them. The idea that a bus will be adequate as long as it has the required number of seats, fuel economy, and keeps running for the required number of years is exactly why we have so many problems with public transit in North America. To say that user experience has taken the back seat would be an understatement. This approach gives transit agencies less flexibility, costs them more, and creates a worse experience for passengers as well as probably operators. So maybe the answer to better buses in North America...
I just realized the only thing with those double-deck buses is that if you're sitting upstairs, that means you got to go through people. You got to be prepared to get off your stop. I would never go up there. I'd rather just stay down. I seen a video of a guy. He's from London. He was talking about there's a certain bus. I don't know the number of the bus, but there's certain buses where it could be very ghetto. You know, like people could be so rowdy. You'll find crackheads, homeless people on the top deck causing problems. And like, I would never go up there then. Because it's not like they have any type of security. But I'm assuming, I guess, it's certain parts of London, I'm assuming. But he was just talking about his experience. When I saw that video, I was like, thank you for the heads up, because I guess I won't be sitting up there.
America is to just
I
do
am
what
not going
the
up there.
world does. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, when I saw that video, I was like, yeah, I'm not going up there. I'm staying down. Let me tell you something. I've been taking transportation for the longest, public transportation for forever. And one thing I noticed is that it all depends. I guess it depends on the area, depends on the neighborhood. You just sit where the driver is at. Sit close as much you can next to the driver. Yeah, I do it all the time because I've seen crazy things happen on the bus, especially in the back. It's always in the back. Always. It's either the crackhead. It's always something. Somebody is just acting crazy back there. I've seen someone got their phone stolen. The person ran off the bus. and they would sit in the back. There's always something going on in the back, always. That's why I always try to sit close to the front as much as I can. If there's any seats available, even if there's no seats available, I'm still standing. I'm still gonna stand. I'd rather stand. You know, I really don't like to sit in the back. I really don't. So yeah. You just gotta be careful. But this was very interesting. I like this. So comment below. Did you enjoy this video? Let me know where you're from. I'm just curious. Okay. And do you ride the bus? And how is your bus? How's your bus in your country? Like, how is it? Do you like it? Do you feel like they could improve it a little bit more? Or you're happy, you're satisfied with what you have? I mean, I'm quite sure some of y'all probably have your own vehicle, so I'm quite sure a lot of y'all probably don't even take public transportation. But if you do, comment below. And make sure you subscribe to my channel. And I see you lovely people. Take care. Peace.